Hello everyone, welcome back to Tank Wars 3. I am your host Chromoid, and in this matchup we're going to be watching another secondary or primary bracket fight between the Paper Tanks second edition, submitted by Chrozayis, featuring blue dictionaries, red dictionaries, and the Forbidden Truths at the back here. And they're going to be going up against the Jargon tanks. I don't know if there's an actual name for this entry. There probably is, and I missed it. But yeah, this is a Jargon setup. Their first match in the tournament. They're going to be fielding 4 of these Charleston LAVs, 2 Decimus ATGMLs, 2 Monarch SHCVs, 1 Paladin SPG, and 1 of these cute little, where is it? There it is, the Buffalo LAVs. So, we're going to get my camera out of the way and let them get to it. This is Chrozayis' second match and Jargon's first match. 3, 2, 1, fight. And of course, the person who loses this is not out of the tournament. They're just going down to secondary brackets. So this is pretty much just who uses up their second chance right here and now. LAVs launching a volley of missiles. Most of the shots coming in from the Forbidden Truths and quite a few of the red dictionaries does miss. There is a 99.4 and a 96.6% damage on several of Jargon's tanks, while Red Dictionary just ate a huge burst of damage from the missiles and cannons, leaving behind a trail of guts as the turret pops off. That is significant damage coming out of Jargon's tanks, but a Paladin has already been demolished, going down to 60.7%. That's a vehicle that will no longer be in the fight. Not going to be despawned just yet, but it is completely weaponless. Both the Monarchs, the Land Cruiser type vehicles for Jargon's team, are firing away, now getting pelted from the side by blue and red dictionaries alike. The red and blue dictionaries on the side flanking around, trying to take out some of the LAVs. The LAVs obviously are here to soak up damage while dishing it out and spamming some missiles out as long as they can. They don't look like they're meant to take a significant pounding, but they're more like living ablative armor for the big vehicles in the back. Unfortunately, they've already kind of failed their first goal because the Paladin's already gone down. Those are some big missiles coming out. I think those came out of the Monarch. Unfortunately, they are kind of arcing up into the air and they're not going to come back down. It looks like blue and red alike are marching in formation, a whole library of paper tanks rolling down the side flank here, firing into the Monarchs. One Monarch has already lost its turret. Where are the ATGMLs? They're back here, and I think this is what happened. Those missiles came out of them, but they're hitting. Oh no, they're not going down. There's no one turn. There's no turret. There's no laser guidance on these. It looks like the laser guidance is being blocked by the ATGML's own turret. They're firing down into the vehicle, meaning they're no longer. And this one is way up on the side of a mountain. They're trying to target a vehicle. They have very large missiles. I think they've got medium-sized missiles, but they're blocked by terrain and by their own design. That is very big. ATGMLs, I think, are supposed to be one of the biggest damage dealers for this entry. Forbidden Truths taking to task one of the Monarchs. I think it's actually trying to fire at the second Monarch, the one that's got no turret. But the first one, having lost its weapon, is now doing a great job blocking damage. Oh no, both for the enemy team and for its own team. ATGMLs streaking off into the distance. That's ammunition they cannot afford to be losing right now, or at least not putting to use. Okay, those arced downwards. For a second, those looks like those were actually acquiring targets. Unfortunately, I don't think any of these vehicles share their targeting systems. So this ATGML, whenever it fires, is just firing blanks because the missiles are not locking onto any other lasers that are being painted, any targets that are being painted by the lasers of other vehicles in its team. This is looking a little dicey. Jargon's team is scattered across the board between 70 and 100%. It's doing okay. The dictionaries have taken a beating. A turret pops off an LAV, but the blue dictionary next to it also loses a turret, probably due to either friendly or friendly fire on one side or the other. If I had to guess, probably a shell hit both and detonated their turrets. And we've got action everywhere. Books running rampant. The library is angry. This is what happens when you don't turn in your submission, or not your submission. Well, that too. I get angry. But you don't return your library leases in time. This is what happens. The library turns these loose on you. And Chrozayis is definitely trying to educate Jargon in what happens when you don't do your reading assignments, and Jargon's going to take exception to that, try to tip over one of the libraries, or one of the books, the dictionaries. It is missing, no, it's not missing its gun, it's just buried it in its hole. Oh, LAV takes another shot. Two blue dictionaries, blue dictionary and a red dictionary missing a turret. The ATGMLs need to get into the fight. They have they have put themselves in a very disadvantageous position. Fortunately, this red dictionary has obliged the ATGML buried in the valley here after so long by coming in range where the lasers can actually paint it, and I think we're going to see it get despawned when that ATGML begins to fire again. Unfortunately, this other one is still not in the fight, run into a hollow in the back here. And okay, yep, ATGML fires. It gets one out of the 3 missiles that it shot into the side of the Red Dictionary. Unfortunately, Red Dictionary's binder is made of heavy armor and could take that hit very well. The other side, the pages, are not so well armored. They do have heavy armor underneath, but they also have a blade of wood, which I think actually does make them more heavily armored on the pages side, because the wood acts as a blade of surface to protect the heavy armor from more strikes. They do seem to lose their turrets rather quickly, though both Monarchs have also lost their turrets and are now just rolling protective walls. LAVs everywhere missing turrets. Forbidden Truths trying to shoot in this direction. I don't know what's trying to shoot. It seems to have come to a halt. I think Forbidden Truths is stranded. Looks like it has taken quite a bit of damage. Yeah, it looks like something got in here and ruined something in the drivetrain on Forbidden Truths. But most of Jargon's tanks are out of weapons now. They've been not destroyed, but they've had their turrets popped off, and most of them, except for the Monarchs have missile launchers on the sides. Most of them, all their weapons were on the turrets. So basically, it's whoever has weapons still, and that's going to be pretty much the ATGMLs that have been hiding this whole time and not helping their team out. We're going to have to see if they can actually pull out a win, if they'll come out of this crevice they've buried themselves in and start laying some fire down into the remaining paper tanks with turrets. An LAV back here does still have all of its missiles and guns on the turret still attached. I see it launches another bouncing volley of missiles. That's not going to hit anything most likely, unless they stay still. No, they go. The one turn directs them out of the way at the last second. Oh man, the paper tanks have taken a beating. They're missing. This one obviously either can't see its targets or is too damaged to retarget anything. Paper tanks lost a lot of hit points. Oh no, LAV lost yet another turret. So I think that's all of the weapon systems for Jargon's tanks destroyed, with the exception of these ATGMLs, which actually look like they have pretty beefy turrets on them. They're almost Land Cruiser class, at least in size. They're definitely not Land Cruiser class in cost. But yeah, I think what this comes down to is whether or not these ATGMLs can do significant damage to the remaining weapon systems in Chrozayis' paper tanks, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to determine the winner here. Whoever can still fire is going to be the winner. I mean, everyone's still got plenty of health left. There's only one DQ, and that's the Paladin at the very start. I'm not sure if the Monarchs still have their missile launchers on them or not. They might, and if they do, that means they're also weaponized. But yeah, these LAVs are basically just running distraction, and it seems like the paper tanks are too well learned to, oh no, friendly fire from an ATGML hitting its own tank. But yeah, the LAVs are like distractions, and the paper tanks are not paying them any attention. They can't even knock the paper tanks around. Those are some heavy volumes. Oh man, listen to that gunfire. 4-barreled, I think that's 6 barrels. Yeah, 6-barreled shots. Thankfully, this Monarch hull is hiding behind a hill that is preventing some of those shots from coming in. People with very flat trajectories, or vehicles, I should say, with very flat trajectories, are going to have a much harder time doing anything on this map at range. Close up, of course, trajectory doesn't really make a difference, but at range, the hills can get in the way, and it looks like, for some reason, a paper tank has gotten itself wedged on the terrain. Now, that's unfortunate. As long as this LAV moves out of the way, it might actually start to despawn. The LAV, however, is also similarly stuck, either in an AI loop or just because of the terrain. ATGMLs still launching missiles. Unfortunately, they're hitting their own vehicles as much as they're hitting the enemy, and they don't have much time left. There's 4.5 minutes left in this match for them to do something. I know I'm moving the camera around a lot. I'm trying to catch everything that's happening. LAVs racing along. Again, they're just trying to get in the mix. At this point, it's a matter of getting the firepower off the remaining tanks that actually can shoot back. Thankfully, Forbidden Truths has been taken out. That is a wicked, wicked vehicle to fight against. I'm not sure if it's actually been taken out or if it just doesn't have a target to line up with. I've noticed that in testing, paper tanks don't do well with targeting things that are to the side or the rear of them unless they have another vehicle sharing data with them. And if the intra-vehicle transmitters have failed, they're basically blind unless you walk in front of them. So that could be a factor that maybe why the Forbidden Truths has come to a halt. It could also have just taken too much damage and stopped. I'm not sure. Forgive me, my voice is wearing out there. This is a pretty exciting match. At least I think it is. Some people might not. Oh no, a red dictionary flipped itself over. I can't even tell if the turret's... I don't think the turret's on that one anymore. Blue dictionaries still mostly have their turrets. I keep thinking that surely Chrozayis' paper tanks are going to run out of ammunition at any point, at any moment. But no, they're still very capable of shooting. I'm not sure where that missile went. I was waiting for it to hit the Forbidden Truths, and it just stopped. Maybe it exploded midair. I can't tell. Maybe the ground swallowed it up. Sometimes that happens. Now, if the paper tanks do move away, that will prompt the HEGMLs to come closer, which means that they will finally get over these humps that have been blocking them for the majority of this match and maybe get some better shots. Although these laser targeters are still blocked by the rear position on the vehicle. You see how long that turret is, and basically anytime they try to aim downward because the turret's so tall, they're cut off by their own turret. And that's just unfortunate. Yeah, that I think I don't think the lasers can even target right now. I don't think the detection's strong enough for them to figure out what they're shooting at. I don't know. They're red. They turn green when they can actually when they're actually locked onto a target. They are still firing missiles. They're firing them in roughly a direction, and the one turn is activating, which tells me that the AI is trying to target something. I don't know what that something. Oh, hey, look, the missiles are turning. So there must be some lasers locked on. I just don't see them right now. Monarch has gotten itself wedged. It is now stuck on the side of the mountain and will be slowly taken apart. One of the red tanks has flipped itself again. Two of the red tanks flipped themselves over. It looks like the dictionaries do not handle slopes very well. This one's tilting dangerously. Two dictionaries flipped over, meaning they're going to be firing into the ground and pretty much ineffective. At this point, we have a 72 to 91.3% health difference, which is pretty much what's going to come down to. So unless a couple of tanks can be despawned on Chrozayis' side very quickly, I think they're just going to win by virtue of having more health. They've just done more damage overall. They've DQ'd an entire tank. Losing that paladin, I think, really hurt Jargon's vehicles and their attempts to take this match. You do have LAVs. If these LAVs would just leave this blue tank alone, if they leave this blue dictionary alone, I think they'd actually maybe force it to despawn. I don't know how fast those things are. Another couple of missiles coming in. They're definitely going to hit something. Oh, that's a ricochet. Sometimes missiles do bounce, and that's unfortunate when they do. That took out some health on the blue dictionary. It's going to help the Forbidden Truths move along. Maybe that will be what it takes to get the Forbidden Truth back into action. If it can spin it around to see one of the ATGMLs with its own detection, maybe it'll be able to come back to life. I don't know. Of course, if the ATGML walks in front of it, or rolls in front of it, that might help too. Oh man, it pains me to see these beautiful tanks just missing everything because they can't target their opponent. No, don't swerve. It changed targets at the last second. It missed the Forbidden Truths, and the Forbidden Truths can certainly see the Decimus now, and it's just not reacting. It's too damaged. Something in the AI has been ruined, and it can't fire back anymore. So effectively, Chrozayis and Jargon are both down to a handful of functioning tanks, but I mean, effectiveness doesn't really matter when you're at a minute and 20 seconds and a 90% lead over a 70.5% health point difference. I mean, it's just not going to matter. It really isn't going to matter. If Jargon's tank still had most of their weapons intact, this would probably be a chance for a turnaround. But in the early clash, they pretty much lost all of their weapons to the high rate of fire coming out of the paper tanks. So yeah, I think this is going to be a win for Chrozayis, assuming Jargon doesn't pull out some amazing counterplay at the last second here. And given the pattern, I hesitate to assume that's going to be the case. Oh no, missiles clipping into the ground. They don't do so well when you have them running into the terrain repeatedly. They'll bounce a couple times, and then they'll just phase through the rather thin map. Okay, that might actually hit something. It's like the one turn is aiming at some of these downed tanks, which means that it can still possibly hit. But yeah, the laser targeting on the Decimus, just do not cut it. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Some very big missiles being launched, and you see that the volume of missiles coming out of the Decimus are now slowing down to like one or two every few seconds. Oh, there's one. Okay, he managed to target just long enough to catch the back of the Forbidden Truths. If they could despawn the Forbidden Truths, I think there's a chance. But there's only 16 seconds left. That's almost certainly not going to happen. And we're going to watch Chrozayis pretty much school Jargon in this matchup, meaning that Chrozayis, your tanks are going to be going on in the primary brackets. And Jargon, I'm afraid your beautiful group is going to have to go down and do battle in the secondary matchup. There's the time limit. There's the HP differences. We have a winner on our hands. So thank you both for participating. Thank you all for watching. Chrozayis, we'll see you in the next primary bracket. And Jargon, you're going to have to go down and fight in secondaries. I've been Chromoid. See you guys in the next one.